Hey there gamers, welcome back to the Board Game Co channel, and today we have a preview of Iron Core. Hey there gamers, it's Professor Meg here, and welcome back to the Board Game Co channel. Today we have a preview of Iron Core by Magister Games. Now you can check out their crowdfunding link down below. This is a sponsored video, and before I get into that and what the game is all about, I will note that this is a prototype copy in front of me, so everything you see, all of the components, rules, and things like that are subject to change. But with that, Iron Core is going to be a free-for-all sandbox game where players are playing to a limited number of points. So that will be your endgame trigger, where players are moving around with their different crews and their ships, upgrading their ships, scavenging where they can, and doing different things like uncovering different islands and fighting off monsters, perhaps fighting off each other, but you're all doing it toward a certain goal point for limit. So when players reach 30 points in this version, or if you wanted a longer game, you could play to 50 points, but you will play it to that, and that will be your endgame trigger, at which point you will tally up all of the remaining points and see who will become the winner. Now, Iron Core is going to be a sandbox-style game that gives you a lot to discover and do. There's the ocean that you have in front of you, and you're going to be placing out different tiles that will help you discover different wreckages in areas or cities, perhaps, that you are able to interact with, and you'll be able to do things like trading or upgrading your ships, which is going to make them so much better and more efficient, because at the beginning of the game, you only start with 2 actions. Now, you're going to be using these 2 actions to do everything while you maneuver around the board, but something that you are able to do is upgrade this so that you have additional actions available to you. Now, the most you'd have available is 4, so it doesn't get too crazy, but this is one of those games where you start off with almost nothing. You start off with 4 crew, which is the least amount possible, and by the end of the game, you could go all the way up to 24 crew. So you can see how you can really grow throughout the game, where it's going to start off a little bit slow, and as players start uncovering different things and getting stronger and stronger, it's really going to escalate toward the end game. Now here you can see that main ocean that I was talking about, and I've already populated some tiles. Now these tiles will come out from different scan cards, and the scan cards can trigger other different things such as monsters, but that would be how these were placed out. For example, every player starts with a scan card to start their turn at the beginning of the game, and if this red player here had started with this exploration card, they would have placed this tile out here, now having Ambition City available to be able to be used. Now there are a whole bunch of locations on this tile that I will go over and the things that you are able to do, but the city is one of the things, which you can see it correlates here to these different actions. Now, while players have their ships that they're maneuvering all around the ocean to do these different things, a lot of what it comes down to is going to be on your personal player board and the different sections that you're going to be using. So on your player board here, you do have an area for all of your upgrades that you're going to be taking. You're going to be able to upgrade your ship, however, they all have specific symbols within their boxes, meaning that you are only able to upgrade them with specific upgrades. We'll get into that in a bit, but it's very interesting what you are able to plug in and which upgrades you are able to take. Now, this next section here is going to be your people area, where you have your leader art. You also have your action tokens that are not yet available, where your available action tokens are here, but this represents your crew and who you have available. So you start the game with 1 forager, which is why this die is set to 1, 1 skirmisher, 1 heavy gunner, and 1 nimrod. Now, if you were to gain additional foragers, for example, if you added 2 foragers to your crew, you would now move your die to this, showing exactly what you have with the limit of 6 on your die. Now, you are also limited to how many crew total you are able to have, depending on this R&D track over here. Your R&D track, you are going to be able to move up whenever you receive an R&D point, which is typically going to happen when you scavenge or different things like that. But you will be able to, when you plunder. And what is going to happen is when you get one of those points, you're going to have to choose within these branching pathways which abilities you would like to trigger. So this first one here, for example, is the same on both sides. And that one means that you would be able to upgrade a fate card. Now, you are going to have this fate deck, and it's what's going to augment a lot of the different things happening with your force available. For example, when you do go to Plunder, you are going to hopefully add fate cards to your action, but You have your personal fate cards that start in your deck that have different values for you, and what you are able to do when you reach this spot on the R&D track is take a fate card from here. Now, these you're able to look through and choose the ones that you want to take. So these are, some of them are actions, some of them are going to help you in priority, but they're all different things that you're going to be able to add to your hand. Now, moving forward after that, this would be one that would help you with making your actions more efficient, where it would cost you less resources to do different things. But once you cross up to this threshold here, you can see that you are now able to hold 12 crew as well. So you are continuously gaining benefits as you are going up this track, but you are also expanding how many crew you are able to add to your team. Now you also have your allegiance here, and this is your allegiance to the syndicate, and you're going to have this marker moving down throughout the game. And when it does, you're going to be drawing different espionage cards. These are cards that are going to test your mettle. We'll draw one now while we're mentioning this, and they're going to have you do specific things, such as witness the void. If your ship enters the central hex of the map, gain 1 renown, which is 1 point up here on the track, and discard this card from the game. So you can see that if you don't do that, you would have -4 renown at the end of the game for this espionage card. However, if you are able to successfully do that, then you were able to gain the point instead. Now you also have your brew here, and your brew is what you're going to be able to use to augment different actions, such as hopefully having your ship move further. If you are moving your ship and you'd like for it to move a little bit further, you can spend 1 brew to move it 1 space, etc. All of your brew if you'd like, but it's 1 brew per space. And once you start hitting this area, your force is now weakened. So you're going to be having less force when you are doing certain actions because you have less brew. Similarly, you also have a morale track, and if your morale track does reach the bottom, you will have a mutiny, and just trust me, that is not good. Now, due to the discoverability in the game, a lot of what you're going to be doing is basing your decisions on your different scan cards and what comes out around you on the board. Players may be placing certain cities near you that you might want to interact with, which may be very serendipitous, but there are also portals that you are able to travel through. So when you are moving, you can spend an additional movement point to travel from portal to portal, getting even closer to that city that you wanted to go to. You can see here are those portals that I mentioned where you are able to move around them. And another fun thing that starts on the board is this Vault City. Now, this Vault City is going to give you some really fun goodies if you are able to go there, but it's very, very hard to find, and you are not able to just visit it. You need to have 2 coordinates here down on your player board, and then you are able to visit that city before it potentially moves again. Now, these white markers here are what you're going to use that are going to give you signals for where to find those coordinates. So when this tile populated, whoever's able to come and interact with this would be able to get this token, and then they're 1 step closer being able to find that Vault City. Now, before we get into what a turn might look like and what actions you might be taking, I want to talk a little bit about the round structure. So every round there is an event card drawn, except for the first round, so I'm going to read one of those now just to give you an idea of what an event card would do. This one is a lucky find. All players gain 1 Urchin Tower. The first player places 1 Urchin Tower 1 to 5 spaces away from the Orion Mosfet and any empty sea space. This is the Orion Mosfet here in the center. Monster activity. All monster move 3 spaces toward the southeast. Now you may have noticed that there's different directions here on the board. Anytime that it says a specific direction, it means that particular spot. That helps you know exactly where to move things, but the southeast, it wants to move specifically exactly there. Orion Mosfet. The Orion Mosfet moves 6 spaces toward the closest ship. After its movement, a player with a ship on the same space as the Orion Mosfet removes it from the board and places it on the orange portal if able. Merchants. All merchants move 4 spaces away from the closest monster if there are any. So here where this can definitely reach this ship, can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they would be able to come here, end their turn here as the Orion Mosfet, and then this player would be displaced over here to the portal. Now, that may not be great if they were planning something over here, but depending on what that player was doing, it might be okay. That being said, they are now in the area where all of the monsters were moving toward, which is also not great. Now, as I said at the beginning of the game, players are going to start off with 2 action markers, and they're going to be able to use those to perform specific actions. So, Players are going to be able to use their different action markers every turn to take some actions. So looking at those, something that a player is able to do is navigate. Navigate is going to be the most basic thing, which is moving around the board, and you're going to put this over to your used action space and then move 3 spaces, or if you choose to spend brew, you might move more. Now with this player here, they may choose to go 1, 2, 3, ending here, putting them next to both Ambition City and this area that they are able to interact with. Another thing players are able to do to spend their actions on is drawing scan cards, which, as I said, are going to put out monsters, tiles, and things like that. Now, another thing that players are able to do is they would actually place their action marker directly on a spot when they interact with it. So for example, if we did want to interact with Ambition City, we would place our marker here and then take 2 of these actions. Now they have 3 actions that are specific to this city, which is recruit, entertain, and hire. Those are the same for every city, but the differences will change. So for example, you would gain 2 morale for entertaining here, whereas in Buzzholds, the entertainment's a little bit better at 3. You are able to do those actions, and again, you are only able to do 2. However, another thing you are able to interact with is things like the docks, which are up here. The docks are how you are able to upgrade your ship as well as heal it once it has damage on it, and with that we're going to take a look at some of the upgrades. Here is Motivator, which you would be able to gain, and you can see that it fits specifically in this area here, and this is what gives you an additional action. So that's a way for you to unlock some of your future actions to be able to use. Another one would be this one here, which is Harpooned, and this one would go over here, and it's when you are attacking at range 1, so when you're attacking at adjacency, you get +2 force against monsters because you're throwing a harpoon at them. Another thing that you are able to do is Expanded. You can put this down here, and that expands your cargo hold to increase how much you are able to hold. Now, another thing that players are able to do is Scavenge. So if I had not moved from that area and if I was still over here, I would also be able to place my token marker on here and scavenge the different resources that are on that area. Another thing, however, that you're able to do is Plunder. So if you're over here, you would be able to interact with this area and plunder. When you're plundering, you add up your total power of your crew. Currently we have 4. You are also able to play a card. So here we actually have a 6 power card, and due to pirating supremacy, we are able to immediately gain 1 renown. So we would gain 1 point over there on the track, and we would be able to add 6 to our 4, having 10 force for this plunder. Now you have different plunder decks here, which are going to give you different rewards, and you have to beat the numbers that are on them. Now here we have 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, 13, 14, 15, 17, showing the difficulty that you need. We currently have a 10. I honestly feel pretty okay that I think we can do this one. I don't know what this is, and let's see. Limit 9, which means that we did it. We won, which means that we are going to gain a morale, 3 renown, and we would also gain 1 resource and 1 R&D point. So that's pretty great for us. We would get all of those things, and that's something that would give us an R&D point to be able to move up on this track as well. So that's how plundering is going to work. However, whenever you do that, you're going to lower this track here. So since we did plunder, we would lower this, starting with a 3-player game. It started in this area, and once it reaches to the bottom, it will flip over, meaning that this particular quadrant can no longer be plundered. We do still have the 3 other quadrants depending on what other players have done, but that's how your different areas are going to get locked out. Now, to show you how the monsters spawn and what that's going to look at, we have this scan card here, and this is going to be a monster. A kraken emerges from the depths, last seen on up in this quadrant. So you're going to see that you're going to take the kraken tile and you're going to place him up here in his little area, which is the last place he was seen in, and then your crew is unsettled. Gain 1 renown, but lose 1 morale. So you would gain a point up here, however you would lose a morale here, and then you are now able to fight off the kraken. Now, one thing that I haven't quite yet shown you is that you are going to get these different pamphlets as the players, and this gives you your captain's orders. This is going to show you everything from the start of the round, the actions that you have available, as well as the different upgrades that you are able to choose and why you may be choosing certain ones, and what your different R&D icons are. So everything is really put really well into this player aid, and toward the back you also have what attacking looks like. So this is finding the Vault Island, attacking a ship, which would be attacking each other, and attacking a monster. So when you are able to attack a monster, you add up your power as well. And here you can see that we are fighting against the Kraken and his value is 11 power. So we have to beat that 11 power to be able to attack him. So the turn you would choose to do so, you would add up your power again, as I said, from your crew, from the fate card that you choose to play, and any mods that you may have, such as this Harpooned, which would give me +2 power against a creature one space away. Iron Core is meant for 1 to 4 players, meaning that they do have a solo mode for the game, as well as a few modules that you are able to add in once you are ready to spice up the base game. Now, as I said, there are different ways to play, such as to 30 points or 50 points, so that's also up to you as well, but overall this is going to give players a sense of exploration. The exploration in this game is huge, not only from the different tiles that you're finding, the monsters that you hope can come out so that you can fight them, running away from the Orion Mossfit, but also these different upgrades and what you are able to choose from is just really, really interesting. You also have your R&D track, which is branching pathways where you're able to make different choices, but then one of the most complicated parts of the game is going to be maneuvering around this board, using everything you have available and trying to choose what you want to do. Whether you want to explore more and find things that are unknown, or go to certain areas that have already been unveiled that are pretty powerful for you, so you decide you want to go there. Now, there are the portals, so you are able to jump a bit around, so this is a bit of a free-for-all where it gives everyone a sense of really finding what they need and connecting with the different powers and abilities that they're using in that particular playthrough, but you're also trying to fight off everyone else because you're watching them excel at what they're doing as well. There is just so much in this game for you to think about and balance with the different things that you are gaining, how you decide to build out your player board, and what you do within this giant area that everyone else is also playing in. Now, I didn't go over all of the actions or what everything does because this is such a big game, so I do hope that you take the time to look a bit more into this. You can check out their game found link below if you're interested in anything more about it, and thank you to Magister Games for sponsoring this video. I'm Professor Meg, thank you all for watching the Board Game Code channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!